ESPN is not a fan of the Jets offseason. New York ranked 27th in their pre-draft power rankings, now plummeted down to 30th. Yes, 30th on ESPN's post-draft rankings. What went into this? Is this a fair evaluation for Gang Green? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Monday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk with our guy Nick Faria from JetsXFactor.com joining us here in his weekly spot. Let's roll.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, everyone? Hello, and welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate you all tuning in here on this Monday, May 5th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It's completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on the show. That's the free way to help us grow. The paid way, get into our membership route. You guys have been so generous this month with the membership, so please keep them going. Every $2.99 Super Chat or gifted membership gets you a raffle entry. Prizes we're giving away include a Sauce Gardner signed jersey, Kevin Mawai signed mini helmet, Aaron Glenn signed trading card, Jonathan Vilma signed photo, Bart Scott signed photo, free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. Every $2.99 Super Chat or gifted membership gets you a raffle entry. More entries you have, the higher chance you have to win. Throw all your questions for us in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment, but nevertheless, joining me right now here in his weekly spot, the hardest working man in the world. Nick Faria is kind enough to fit us into his schedule as he does every single Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nick, appreciate you as always, my friend, and how you doing?
Doing great, Connor. Great to be back on.
1,000%. I'm super happy you are able to be here, and let's get right into it. Nick, I know you were really optimistic about this Jets team last year, and I mean, so were we all. At this point last year, we were talking about a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers with a bolstered roster. What would that look like? Some had Super Bowl expectations for this team, and boy, so much can change in just 1 year. You look now, and I know you're still pretty high on this team. You think they could be a 9-win team. I don't think they're as bad, though, as ESPN listed them as number 30th overall on this list. I just think, you look at what happened last year, Nick, with this team. It was missed kicks and coaching. Those are the two main culprits that contributed to the Jets' overall woes last season. Just on talent alone, the Jets are far better than the 30th best team in this league. I understand if you don't want to put blind faith into a new head coach and GM tandem. I do not want to put blind faith into them either. But Nick, I think 30th is very, very low for the Jets ranking here, no matter how optimistic or pessimistic you are on this team.
I gotta be honest, I think it's a fair grade. I really do, because there's too many questions. And again, there is potential here, and I've said this before, there's potential for the Jets to be a lot better than people anticipate. I think the Aaron Glenn coaching staff is a significant upgrade over Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh and sort of the mistakes that were made over the last year from a coaching staff's perspective, both offensively and defensively. So I think the coaching staff is going to be a lot better. Skill-wise, we can make the point that the Jets are a little bit worse than they were last year. There's no Devontae Adams. They don't have a number 2 receiver. There's a question mark at tight end. There's a rookie that's expected to be the starter. The offensive line's expected to be better. But what's going on at edge rusher? What's going on at defensive tackle? What's going to happen in the secondary, sans Sauce Gardner? And then, of course, you have to look at the quarterback. As high of a ceiling as one could think of Justin Fields, he's not Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers was not the player that many people expected of him when he was brought to the Jets 2 years ago. So I think it's a very fair assessment. Now, do I think that it's going to be that way by the time the regular season starts? No. I think there are a lot of bad football teams right now across the league. You look at Tennessee, you look at the Giants. I think the Patriots are still pretty bad. They're going to have to do and deal with a lot of stuff along the offensive line. You look at the Dolphins, I think they're going to be a lot worse. There's going to be a lot of teams this year that are really, really bad. The Jets have the potential, because they're so young, because they are a brand new regime, to sort of have that whimsical positivity, at least right now. There's no sense in getting worked up over a power ranking at the beginning of May. Rookie camp starts in a few days. OTAs don't start for another 2-3 weeks. So there's still a long time for this team to improve, pick up a couple of free agents, but also improve in a way that shows they're going to be a lot better at the start of the regular season than many expect.
Here's my thing, Nick. Right now, and you're a lot higher on this team. You have a lot higher expectations for this team entering the year than I do. I think they could be an 8-9. I think they could be a 9-win team. I have them going in that 7-10, 8-9 win range. Again, I don't want to put blind faith into this coaching regime, and I 1000% understand that. But I can't sit here right now just on talent alone, put the coaching staff, everything away on talent alone with these power rankings, especially coming off a draft class that I was not the biggest fan of, but you still solidified the offensive line, which we know the game. Exactly. The game is won and lost in the trenches. You got your tight end one. Like, they address some quality needs. I can't sit here right now and name 29 NFL teams better than the Jets. I can't do that. I think there are more teams than just the Titans and the Giants that are worse than the Jets currently as it's it. I'm looking at the rankings right now. 29th overall, Cleveland. Give me the Jets all day.
Oh, yeah. Cleveland's a mess. They don't have a wide receiver. Their offensive line's a mess. I think, call me crazy, but Mel Kiper giving the Browns an A+ draft grade just because they drafted Shedeur is mind-boggling to say the least. So you can throw Cleveland in there. You can throw, Jacksonville. Is Jacksonville going to be good this year? No one really knows. The Colts could take a massive swing down. No one knows what's going to happen. You look at teams like the Minnesota Vikings who have a rookie quarterback, and they've got a lot of talent. They've got good coaching, but are we sure they're going to get close to that 14-win plateau that they reached last year? That's a very hard sell, at least for me. I mean, you've got some other teams as well that won a lot of one-score games, the previous year. That usually tends to flip from year to year. So, look, with the way the talent is right now, I think 30 is, fair, whatever. No one really knows what they're going to get out of Justin Fields. But to sit there and say that Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, the offensive line, that collection is not as good as for a team like the Browns or, I'm trying to think of some of these other just really, really bad football teams. The Saints. I think the Saints are going to be atrocious this year because they just have nobody.
And they came in at like 26 on this list.
That's bonkers to me. Bonkers. Yep. But to each their own.
100%. A few more topics I want to get into before we get into the chat, guys. Keep the questions coming. Super chats, memberships, earn you raffle entries. Something I wrote up, Nick, for JetX literally a couple minutes right before we hopped on here is a bold comparison that Brian Baldinger of NFL Network made to Jets tight end. He drew some parallels from Mason Taylor to Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Talk about the how fluid they move, how smooth they are in their route running ability, and how Mason Taylor moves really, really well for the frame and the size that he brings to the table. Know you're a big Mason Taylor fan. Obviously, you look at what Tanner Engstrand did in Detroit, what the Detroit Lions did last year, and I understand the Jets might be going for a different model, but still, Tanner Engstrand, the teams that he's been a part of, they have a history of using a tight end a lot, and the Jets are very, very thin at tight end. Mason Taylor has an opportunity right away to come in and carve out a role in this team's offensive system. What do you think Mason Taylor's ceiling looks like for the Jets this season?
It's difficult because you never really want to put super high expectations on a second-round pick, particularly a tight end, because it takes a little bit to get acclimated to the NFL, to get acclimated to a playbook like Tanner Engstrand's and like the expectation of what Detroit's going to be. I know Baldy mentioned Travis Kelce. I continue to point to Zach Ertz.
Yes.
2013, the athletic, the ability to get open, not really great after the catch, but he can get open and catch the football really, really well. And that's been Zach Ertz's MO, since he was drafted out of Stanford. So I think it's a safe bet. I think he's probably going to get to a point by the end of the year, probably within week 8, week 10, where you're looking at, Mason Taylor being second on the team in receiving, maybe not for the full year, but in that later stretch of the season, because Justin Fields loves to target the tight end, and it's a golden opportunity there to do so.
Now, Nick, I want to get into an article from you that was for JetX that was released earlier today. You kind of broke down the Jets wide receiver candidates, and you went through the main names. You kind of provided your reasoning on why they could potentially be fits for that role. Malachi Corley, getting Malachi Corley and Malachi Moore mixed up there. Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson, Alan Lazard, all those names obviously would come behind Garrett Wilson. You mentioned Alan Lazard. Do you think he's viewed as the favorite to win that job entering rookie minicamp? And I would agree with you 1,000%. The thing is, when you look at Alan Lazard's production without Aaron Rodgers, some teams I do not think would even roster that. You think he's the favorite right now? I mean, what does the target share, my question is to you, look like this season, whether it's wide receivers or tight end? Like, Alan Lazard might be a wide receiver too, but could you see a scenario where maybe Mason Taylor is that true pass catcher number 2 when Alan Lazard's playing more of a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 type role?
We need to understand that when I say wide receiver 2, I'm not saying that he's going to be second on the team in targets, catches, yards, and touchdowns.
Yes.
What I'm saying is wide receiver 2 opposite Garrett Wilson on the field. What I could very well see happening, because the Jets understand where they are as a roster, Justin Fields, if you look at him as a quarterback, he does not target second wide receivers a lot. He targets the number 1 target. DJ Moore had a couple great years with Fields as a starter, and then he targets the tight end position. There was a reason why Chicago went all in on tight ends and essentially back-to-back free agent years. So the way that I see it, the way that I see things going, I could certainly see a player like Alan Lazard winning the wide receiver 2 competition, but being third, maybe even fourth in targets, depending on where Breece Hall ends in this conversation. Because I look at Breece Hall, people say, oh, well, he could get moved. There's not going to be enough of an impact on the roster. I see it completely differently. I see a player that's going to be splitting time with Braylon Allen and getting a lot more receiving targets as opposed to overall rushes. I think they're going to use Hall all over the field this year, and that's going to mean a lot of touches for him going in to his free agent year. So that's always an interesting piece to look at. Like I said, I think Mason Taylor, he'll probably start slow because we can't just – it's not Madden.
Yes.
10 passes. It's going to take some time. It's going to start a little slow, but by the end of the year, I think you're going to have a really, really good starter at the tight end position.
Interesting. I'm really fascinated to see what Mason Taylor could do because, again, like I mentioned earlier, he has an opportunity to come in and be a real focal point of the offense, just the way the depth chart is presented to him right now. And, Nick, I threw out on the show yesterday a little way too early 53-man roster prediction, and I put Isaiah Davis as my running back 2 on that list. I'm super, super high on Isaiah Davis. I know a lot of Jet fans are big on Braylon Allen. I mean, let's be real, though. Besides the Titans game, Braylon Allen struggled overall last season. Like, I don't think here's the thing. He was a 4th-round pick, so the expectations couldn't have been that high, but I think he was getting a little overrated by fans from that Titans game. I really, really like what I saw from Isaiah Davis. I mean, given I think he had did a minimal amount of touches last season. Like you can't judge it off that. It was a really, really small sample size for Davis. What does his role on this Jets team look like? Is he an RB2? Is he an RB3? What does Isaiah Davis' season look like?
The way that I see it, I kind of look at it like the Giants' background back in, 2007, 2008, where you had Amon Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs, and Derek Ward. The way that I look at Isaiah Davis, I see him as the Derek Ward type of player, that guy who's going to come in, in these short, different little packages, but make an immediate impact. I see Braylon Allen as the Brandon Jacobs. He's just a powerful, powerful runner. And when you have him run behind a good offensive line like this, I think the sky's going to be the limit for him. And then, of course, Breece Hall in that Bradshaw role. You're looking at a trio of running backs that all are similar, but a little bit different in many different ways. And I think that's only going to help the Jets moving forward.
Nick, I want to get your thoughts on an article I wrote yesterday, and earlier today came out, on what the Jets should kind of do now that Jordan Travis is retired. I know the question has become, well, should the Jets look to add another quarterback? The answer for me is a clear no. Do you think New York needs to make another addition at the quarterback position before the summer?
Not at all. Not at all. Run with what you got. Adrian Martinez and Brady Cook can compete for the quarterback 3 position. You didn't draft any of them. Perfectly fine. You didn't fall in love with any of them. I get it. Jordan Travis retiring. Just let Cook and Martinez compete for the job. Whoever wins can be in that conversation to be on the 53-man roster. Whoever loses is probably just a camp arm, and he'll go off into free agency. But I don't foresee anything close to the Jets addressing the quarterback 3 position on this roster.
Yeah, I've seen some people talk about it, and the reason I said clear no is mainly because Jordan Travis, I think the Jets knew the expectation that, well, first of all, he's never been healthy. So the retiring of Jordan Travis, it's certainly tragic. It's certainly awful for him, but it should not shuffle the Jets quarterback plans at all. I've said all along the Jets should go into this experience the day they drafted him, expecting nothing, and everything you get out of him is a bonus. The Jets viewed him right away as a long-term project who had the athleticism to develop into a, maybe a productive signal caller at some point throughout his NFL career. Ultimately, he never got healthy, and he's forced to retire. Appreciate you tuning in, though. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. See all your questions in the chat here. A few more questions with Nick. Let's jump to a member super chat from our guy, Ricky NY, who says, Nick, which caller has the best football takes?
It's always going to be Ricky, man. I'm going to tell you right now. It's a shame that he lost where he did, and the Jake Asman Madness, March Madness, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was a travesty. I actually appealed. And I'm just waiting to hear back from the commissioner because I think my appeal will win.
Nick, I want to get your thoughts on a polarizing pick for the Jets in this year's draft. That's Arian Smith. I know you kind of went through your draft grades for us last week, but now that we've kind of had time to digest all these picks, how do you think he's going to fit in? Like, I feel like Malachi Corley, we're kind of saying the same thing last year. He was going to be that speedster who adds another element you could bring on the gadget plays. Then you use a day 3 pick this year on Arian Smith, an early day 3 pick, which seemed like a reach. What is his role on this Jets team? How is he going to be able to find time on the field?
Well, he's going to find time on the field as a special teams player, whether it's as a gunner, whether it's as a returner. He's going to be given an opportunity to prove himself on special teams. Like all of these day 3 picks, Malachi Moore is going to be on special teams. Barron, all these other guys will start on special teams. They're not going to just walk in and get a starting role right away. So that's going to be the same thing for Arian Smith. I foresee a situation similar to Malachi Corley. They see Jamison Williams in him. Whether that is going to end up working out or not is something entirely apart. But the way they look at him is a guy that really, really fast, can get open, just needs to catch the football and stay healthy. And they feel that coaching can fix two of those issues. Whether they're right or wrong, it's not for us to say right now on May 5th. We're not going to know until practices start, training camp begins, and the pads actually go on.
Nick, I'm going to ask you a tough question here. The Jets made a lot of UDFA signings. I know you liked a lot of them. I was a huge fan of a lot of those moves. Right now, as we're approaching rookie minicamp, which player do you think has the best chance out of all the UDFA signings to earn a spot on the 53-man?
It's tough. Probably Dean Clark, the safety.
Ooh,
that's going to be a position
that's interesting.
A lot of people are watching. What happens with Isaiah Oliver? If he makes the roster, he's a perfect backup nickel with experience at safety. He wasn't necessarily terrible last year. Played pretty sparingly, but was pretty good in the short amount of time that he got on the team. So that versatility could certainly help. But having a true safety like Clark could make things interesting. He could be a fourth safety, a special teams guy going in to the 2025 season. So the easy answer would be Brady Cook. I love the Donovan Edwards pick. I still love it. I think he's just an awesome player from what he was in college. But if we're talking about a player that has a best opportunity to make the 53-man roster, you never want to go in with only 3 safeties into an NFL game day. You always want to have that fourth one. And I think Clark could certainly be that if he shows his potential.
Last one here, Nick. Can you explain to everyone why Justin Tucker should not be in play for the Jets?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Let's start on the football side, right? When a kicker starts getting the yips and he starts missing from long range like Justin Tucker has, particularly last season, that's usually a sign that he's not going to get any better. I mean, you look at Mike Vanderjagt in his final years in Indianapolis. He was the most accurate kicker in NFL history, and he started missing. He had that terrible miss in the 2005 divisional round against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was released pretty much a month later. So once you lose your fastball, you tend to not be as good moving forward. So from a football perspective, I wouldn't really touch Tucker because he may be damaged goods already. He had a miserable season last year on the field. Off the field, I can give you 16 reasons why. That's pretty much all I'll say about that. But you don't.
Exactly.
They want to build a culture. This Jets coaching staff wants to build a culture, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the allegations are are wrong, right, whatever. It's not my place to say I don't know enough about that situation to offer an opinion. But if you're building a culture, having a guy that's going to be under investigation by the National
Correct.
Football League and having all these suits filed in, it's not really a sign that shows culture is very important.
Exactly, and that's what I've said recently, Nick, because it's like it's one of those things where even if they go to court, whatever, he's convicted, not guilty, and this is all a hoax, which I find it very hard to believe. 16 people would mysteriously from all different places make something up. Even if that were the case, though, still hit I think only 73% of his field goals last year. He's getting up there in age, and again,
let's just talk about the football.
Yeah.
Like stuff. Let's wait. You want to wait. You want to do it's due process. This is the United States of America. He's innocent until proven guilty. I continuously push that. From a pure football standpoint, he wasn't very good last year, and that's kind of what the expectation is. If you're hiring a kicker like this, you want him to hit 85 to 90% and be just absolute, fantastic from long range. And Tucker had his worst year of his career from long range, and it's something that, to me, it's a no-brainer. You stay the hell away.
Yeah.
You see what you can get on the free agent market outside of him.
And the distraction does not warrant the the on-field play does not warrant the distraction 1000%. Nick, appreciate you as always hopping on with me here on these Mondays. You got any final thoughts here before we let you go?
No, just get ready for minicamp, everybody. It's going to be a fun time. A lot of really interesting rookies taking the field for the first time as a member of the Jets.
And Nick, for those who did not catch your article this morning, when does rookie minicamp kick off?
The 9th. Little SEO business for you. 9th of the 11th.
There we go.
Have those.
Nick, appreciate you as always. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria, JetsXFactor.com. Shoot him a follow at Nick_Faria1720. Like I said, you can read his work, my teammate over at JetsXFactor.com. Nick does a great job covering the Jets, and he joins us every single Monday evening at 8 p.m. EST here on the show. So we appreciate you guys as always. Appreciate tuning in. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, completely free, and it helps us grow significantly. Every $2.99 super chat or gifted membership will get you an entry into our membership raffle. Prize we're giving away include a Sauce Gardner signed jersey, a Kevin Mawai signed helmet, a Aaron Glenn signed trading card, a Jonathan Vilma signed photo, a Bart Scott signed photo, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. Every $2.99 super chat or gifted membership gets you an entry. More chances you have, the higher chance you have of winning here on the show. Call into the show with the pinned comment. Get all your questions in the chat. A few questions here, and then we will go over to the phone lines. And our guy Hep comes in and says, Ruckert will be better this year. My concern with Ruckert is the reason he struggled as a blocker last season had nothing to do with the scheme. His technique is simply awful. The amount of whiffs I saw from Jeremy Ruckert last year in line is simply inexcusable. The amount of drops. Can he improve as a receiver? Certainly. Can he improve as a blocker? His technique needs significant refinement, I think, to do so. Hep says, remember Kuntz, whatever happened to him. That's a Joe Douglas, RAS athletic freak who the Jets brought in. He's still on the roster. He's a practice squad guy, I think. I think he's gonna be a squad guy on this team. Hep comes back in, says Breece Hall is wide receiver too. This is really, really interesting because Breece Hall overall struggled last year, whether it was as a receiver, whether it was as a just a pure running back. I'm gonna try to pull something up here. A great article from Andrew Fialco. I'm trying to pull it up on my laptop here. He wrote a great article for JetX. April 3rd, I have it up here. April 3rd, he wrote a great article of 10 plays the Jets should add to the playbook. And I'm going to look at some of these plays. I sat to myself when I was first reading this and said, these could really, really fit Breece Hall well. I'm going to scroll down to one of them and here it is. Oh yeah, perfect. Passing game. RB wheel tight end league. Like I think getting the biggest that's one of the plays. The biggest thing for Breece Hall, another one, Miami mesh concept. I think the biggest thing is going to be able to get Breece Hall in space. Another one, mesh rail. The Jets need to get Breece Hall in space because when he's in space, he's a top running back in the league. The problem is you can't rely on him for his vision. His vision is simply not good. The Jets just need to get Breece Hall in space. That's the biggest thing. Getting him in space and allowing him to make plays with his legs. John says Lazard is booty cheeks and will not be higher than wide receiver 4. Don't like Lazard at all. Don't think he's rosterable without Aaron Rodgers. That's what he's shown throughout his entire career. He's going to be on the roster, though, just because of how barren this position room is for the Jets. Simply how it is. Appreciate tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Keep throwing all your questions in the chat. Appreciate those. We'll get to those a little later, but let's head over to the phone lines. Joining us right now here on the show, he's in the chat earlier, Nick Faria's favorite caller, kind enough to grace us with his presence. Guy Ricky NY. Ricky, I don't think we've chatted in a long time, so super happy to have you on. Last time I think you called in was right before they hired Aaron Glenn, so probably back in like January. So super happy to see you.
Right on. Yeah, it's I don't know. Because of my work schedule, I think I'm either usually at work or asleep when you're on. So it's kind of hard to
I'm on at
catch
8 p.m., so that's like a tough hour for some people.
Yeah, that's usually, and I usually go to work at 7. So yeah,
Okay.
I usually miss you unless it's a day off.
Yeah.
Listen, a lot has been made of this wide receiver room. I hate it when I hear people saying that Arian Smith is Jamison Williams. No, he is not.
Yeah.
Jamison Williams was a consensus first-round pick. He wouldn't have even fell to the end of the first if it wouldn't have been for his injury. Arian Smith was never considered that. I've said it before, former track star. I think Arian Smith, if he hits his ceiling, ends up being like Marquise Goodwin that played for the Bills and Niners, fast former track star guy that's just kind of a role player. Which, hey, Goodwin, for what it's worth, had a long NFL career. I mean, he wasn't spectacular, but he was a serviceable role player. And if we can get that out of him, I'll be happy. However, people need to stop freaking out because the receivers we have right now, this very minute, are probably not the receivers we're going to roll into the year with, meaning it's not over with yet. As teams start to sign their draft picks, there's going to be that second wave of free agency. So I don't think that we're done quite yet. Interesting. I keep thinking about this. Green Bay Packers drafted Matthew Golden in the first round, Savion Williams in the third round. They've got a very crowded receiver room all of a sudden. And I could see, Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson or one of those guys becoming available. If it doesn't happen on cut down day, it may take until the trade deadline, but I see one of those guys becoming available. If people keep pounding the table for Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper and dude, look at the number of 20-year-olds this team has brought in. Like those guys do not fit the Aaron Glenn youth movement.
I get that 1,000%. I'm completely opposed to Cooper. I don't want anything to do with Cooper. The one name I will say I've been guilty of like associating myself with as an option I like is Keenan Allen, just because no matter what his age is, I understand he's 33 years old now. He's still been able to produce quality numbers season in and season out. I think if you can get him on a 1-year deal, call it $7-8 million, I would be open to that 1,000%, because no matter what age there are, whether they're 21 years old, whether they're 33 years old, this team needs a wide receiver too, and Keenan Allen offers that in my eyes.
Listen, as far as, what kind of player he is, what kind of pro he is, the production, I cannot argue at all. My only hesitation with Keenan Allen would be health, because he does consistently get banged up every year. So, he's going to produce for you when he's out there. It's just a question of how many games do you get out of him before the injury bug rears its head. But like I said, I just threw out the Green Bay thing because, I mean, like I said, they drafted 2 guys. That's going to be a really crowded room. But there's going to be other teams as well. Like there's going to be some players that shake loose, and whether it's wide receiver or defensive tackle or edge rusher, whatever position, there's going to be some good players that get let go in the coming weeks. And I don't think this roster is a finished product by any means.
Interesting. Like if they can get a guy like Christian Watson, like the thing is he's 25 years old, so he fits the mold of an Aaron Glenn younger player he's 6'4", so he's a good frame. I don't know how he brings some speed. He's not like a liability when it comes to speed. He's not like someone who's going to run a 4.5 or a 4.6 40 times. So Christian Watson is someone I really like. The question is, what do you have to give up for him? Like That's the main question. I wouldn't give up a top 75 pick for Christian Watson personally. I would be open to something where it would be like a 5th and then a conditional 4th. Like that's the most I would be willing to give up for Christian Watson. Like a compilation of a few day 3 picks.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, you know, which we don't have a 3rd at the moment anyway. But
Okay. The Hassan Reddick comp, they have 3 comp picks, I think, this year. A 4th from Reddick, which is still crazy, and I wrote an article about that. I'm like, it doesn't take away from the fact that Joe Douglas made an awful trade giving up that conditional 3rd, but like the Jets still got some capital back from that move, which is still insane. But they got the 4th from Reddick, and they got the 7th from Conklin and the 7th from Solomon Thomas. I mean, the question is, let's say we offered a 4th and a 7th. I don't think Green Bay's taking that deal.
No, mate, probably not. It all just depends. I mean, like I said, if it comes down to, you know, you're going to take that or he's just going to be a cap casualty, I would tend to think they would take something, you know, rather than nothing because, you know, Joe Douglas is the only guy that let guys go for nothing.
Brian says the Jets have 4 6th-round picks next year. So I know they had 3, so they added another one. So I would do like 2 6th and a 5th. That's the most I could do.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. We do have a couple of 4ths. I mean, we'll have some ammo, and like I said, who knows? Maybe it'll end up being, you know, it won't happen until the trade deadline. But I have more confidence in this regime to you know. Like, dude, that's GM speak. You know, Douglas used to say it. Mougey is saying it. You know, we're always going to keep looking at guys and adding good players to the team, blah, blah, blah. The difference is I actually believe this regime when they say it.
Yeah.
Because Joe Douglas, and listen, I really like Joe Douglas. I think he did a lot of really good things. However, I've said this before. I will always say this. Off-season Joe Douglas, like during the draft and stuff, and during the season Joe Douglas were like 2 different people.
Completely different.
As soon as the season started, Joe Douglas thought his job was over. No backup quarterback, no different kicker, no.
Correct.
During the season, he did nothing. It was atrocious, unforgivable. But you know, when it comes to making trades, like, dude, he made some great trades, you know. Getting us anything for Blake Cashman, you know, the haul that he got for Jamal Adams. I mean, he was a master when it came to trades. And you know, obviously, the Garrett Sauce, Jermaine Draft.
Correct, 100%.
You know. But the other thing that I wanted to say is, man, this week I have heard some of the worst football takes out of people that I think I have ever heard. Like. There were some takes that were so bad that I've almost decided to stop watching one show just because I can't even take it. I feel if I call in, I will associate myself with that type of thinking. And it's the thing is this regime is doing things differently than what we're used to seeing. And someone said the other day, "Oh, it's unforgivable we didn't take a defensive tackle." Jeremiah says that there's like, you know, 20 to 30 starting caliber defensive tackles in this draft, and it's like, dude, there are not 25 or 30 starting defensive tackles.
I'd say there's about 7. I could probably riff 7.
Yeah, there might be some guys who are rotational players that do have roles and stuff. But to think that there's that many starters, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that's where some of our fans get lost is like, you know, they're all up in arms over our you know, last picks of the draft. And why did we take this guy? Why did we take that guy? Dude, you know what? We got a replacement for Chaz Surratt, you know, linebacker depth, a special teams guy.
I had a beat reporter on, Ricky, from Miami, and we spoke about Barron and Maui Goa. He pretty much said Maui Goa, like, he thinks he's going to come in and be a special teamer right away. The thing he praised most about Maui Goa was his leadership, which is something I really, really like, because you have Sherwood, who's obviously going to be who took over from CJ Mosley's that leading middle linebacker. And then when Sherwood has to come off the field, you still have another leader on the field, patrolling the middle of the field in Francisco Mauigoa. So I think like if he can come in and be your linebacker 3, your linebacker 4, and play a lot of snaps on special teams and be a leader, like I think that's solid value.
Right. And Barron as well. Like, these guys are depth pieces. They're backups, and we've seen in the past where, one of our good players goes out and the backups were atrocious,
Yes.
Offensive line in particular, but all across the roster. And I think that Glenn is addressing that. I like the character of the guys he's bringing in. And I think that's where things are going to be different this year. By the way, speaking of good takes and bad takes, I have to give you some props for keeping the integrity level up there. I was watching one of your shows the other day.
Okay.
You had a caller who gossip says charges quite a bit to come on these shows, so you were lucky to have him. But as he goes into, I'm a Jets fan forever. This, that, the other, and I can't get behind Mason Taylor because I hated his dad so much. And he goes on this big tirade and then calls him Jonathan Taylor at the end of it. And you, the 13-year-old Jets fan, corrected him. So awesome. You hated this guy so much that you can't even remember his name. Wow.
Oh my God.
But thank you.
I don't even know where all that hate came from, Ricky. That came from
keeping
nowhere.
the facts correct. Yeah. At any rate, keep doing the good work, Connor.
Ricky, Gay Pride Month, the GM says, I'm right there. I'm right here, Ricky. NY, talk your shit.
GPM. All I gotta say is that if you're gonna be a so-called expert and call in with your hot takes, get your facts and your names correct beforehand. That's the one thing I always say. Like, don't rely on it. And I'm actually making a longer video now about this because people drive me crazy with their rankings. But this player was ranked higher. This pick wasn't good because there was a higher ranked player, and it's like, dude, these rankings, they don't tell you the difference between a pass rusher and a run stuffer. It just says edge or DT. They don't tell you the difference between free safeties and box safeties. They don't tell you, the difference between zone corners and man corners. Like, I don't want to hear you say, oh, Thomas wasn't a good pick. There was a higher ranked player ahead is still there. When that guy's a pure zone corner, and that's not the scheme that we're playing. Like, scheme and fit have to factor into it. And my suggestion for people, don't, because the thing with rankings is PFF is different from Next Gen Stats, which is different from ESPN. They're all just opinions, and there's only 32 opinions that really matter.
Correct.
But if you want a good opinion and you want to really be able to speak on these players, watch the film yourself. Like, go back and don't just watch highlights that show you the good stuff. Watch
highlights are nothing.
Whole games, so you can see the good and the bad. Do the research, do the homework, and then when you call in with an opinion, you can say what you're going to say with confidence because you'll have the knowledge and you will have done the work to back it up.
Ricky, appreciate you as always. Have a good night.
All right, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, our friend Ricky New York checking in here on the show. Ricky's the best. Appreciate him chiming in. Appreciate him calling in here on the show. You guys can call in if you want to. The pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's see. Where were we here? Let's go back to the top. All right, we're talking about Breece Hall, and then Robert says, "Don't sleep on Tyler Johnson." Tyler Johnson's fascinating because he's a guy who the Jets signed as kind of to fit the mold of a low risk, high reward move. He's an underrated candidate with solid and contested catches, just again, minimal opportunities. Like we don't really know who he is at this point in his NFL career. We haven't seen him get a fair. Oh, is that my camera? Wait. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Let me right, there we go. We're back. I don't know what happened with that camera. Something wire. There it is. All right. Sorry. Yeah, we're back. Tyler Johnson, if you didn't hear what I just said there, Tyler Johnson is someone who just hasn't gotten a fair opportunity in this league. I don't want to rely on him as a wide receiver too. Certainly, I think wide receiver two expectations for Tyler Johnson are completely asinine. I think you go into the season expecting him to be a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 on your football team and hope you can get more out of him. And that, like I said, that low risk, high reward type move. Where we're in the chat, Robert says again, Malachi Corley will be wide receiver 2. Again, I just don't think he's shown me enough to warrant that wide receiver 2 status right away. We just haven't seen enough out of him. And then obviously the blunder on Halloween, too many concerns for me. One more question here, then we'll go back to the phone lines. John Hep says, Cook is fast, fearless. He's also a running quarterback. Love Brady Cook. Check out Jets X Factor. You can find all my Cook takes. I'm a huge Brady Cook fan. Love his escapability. Love his athleticism. Love his accuracy. Love his ability to minimize turnovers. Huge Brady Cook fan, 1,000%. So I'm all in on the Brady Cook hype, but appreciate you tuning in. Let's go back to the phone lines. Devin is up next here on the show. Devin, appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, Connor? How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Can't complain. You know, we're hitting kind of that dead period where it's like we're after the draft. We've kind of talked about all the draft picks. We're in that off-season lull.
Yeah, I got you. I got a question for you, though. I got a couple of questions, actually. You know, I do appreciate your insight. I got to understand, I have listened to you dislike my man Brees Hall for a minute now. And I really need to understand. First of all, let me say this. Mm-hmm. I get your point about the vision. Sometimes I feel like I am not going to dispute or argue that, right? But I think there's more that was left. Like there was more that could have been done with better coaching, scheming, putting him in a more optimal position. Yes, he dropped a lot of passes last year, had the most fumbles he's ever had in his career as a football player, collegiately and professionally, right? So I see all that. But I think those are things that are like focus and concentration. And I think when you have a coach that you're like, dude, if I mess this up, I'm only going to get but so many chances, and he's going to put someone else in, right? And so I think he's going to be better with that. So I just want to clarify. I want you to clarify for me your disdain is my first question for Brees Hall.
So my biggest thing with Brees Hall, I'm not a Brees Hall hater. I don't hate Brees Hall by any means. The take that I originally made that got taken out of context by a lot of people was I would be open to trading Brees Hall at the right value, which I viewed as a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft. That's all gone to waste. This draft is over. I'm not taking a 3rd-round pick next year for Brees Hall. They weren't going to get a 3rd-round pick for him, even if they tried to shop him. I said that's the only scenario I'd be okay with. That's because I thought there were multiple running backs in the 3rd round of this year's draft who could come in and make a larger impact than Brees Hall for multiple things. I think the Jets are going to take more of a running back by committee approach this season. I don't think they're going to rely on Brees Hall to be the 1,500 plus all-purpose yards type guy we saw in 2023. And I think that's what a lot of Jet fans hang their head on. And I know, Devin, you're probably thinking that. And 1,500 yards for a running back, undoubtedly a great accomplishment. I think he ranked about 14th in rushing yards that season. A lot of those yards came from him being the primary receiving target out of the backfield, him picking up dump offs from Zach Wilson, who couldn't push the ball downfield, and collecting yak after that. That's number one. I think he was what we get obsessed over is the fact that he was the safety net for Zach Wilson. That's where a lot of his production came from in 2023. Second, the knee injury has been nagging. His speed, his acceleration, not only the vision, Devin, his speed, his acceleration has taken a significant hit in my eyes. It's not the same we saw him his first few weeks of the rookie years where he was truly lightning Brees. Another step that he
agree
lost.
With that. But I think that's also recovery from the ACL, don't you think? Like
agreed,
another year removed.
For sure, 1,000%, I get that. I just think those injuries tend to nag over time. Like I think his acceleration is just pretty much I don't think it's ever going to get back to the same level we saw before that nagging knee injury he had in 2023. Not to mention his ability to break tackles was not great last year. Like with the exception of a few home run plays, Brees Hall was not elusive at all. Like you'd see plays where he'd get tied up that you expect easy tackles. You'd expect someone like Brees Hall, a caliber player that we hype Brees Hall up to to break through that tackle. Look, I think he's gonna have a way better season than 2024. A lot of it has to do with the scheme, and I completely agree with you. I just thought if you can get an early day 2 pick for Breece Hall, not to mention the not even the on-field production, the fact that I don't think he's going to be extended by the team, the fact that he's entering the last year of his deal, I wanted to get something a higher pick in exchange for him, if you could, someone who I don't think is going to be on the roster past this season and whose acceleration and speed has simply declined.
Well, if he has a good season, though, you don't think they'll extend him?
I think it has to be a really, really solid season.
He's not going to get Saquon Barkley money. I don't think no matter what unless he has like a Saquon Barkley type season, he's not going to get Saquon Barkley money.
I don't even know if he wants to come back. I think it depends on like how they really fit him in this overall scheme. I think it's going to be a lot of Braylon Allen this season. I really, really do. I think they're going to rely more towards like the Braylon Allen and Breece Hall backfield. I think that's something they're going to really, really focus on. Because you have the read option with Justin Fields, the speed that you have to worry about there, and then you have the power of Braylon Allen that he brings to the table. Like, I don't even know if Breece Hall would want to come back to the Jets, depending on how he fits into this team. And again, I'm not a Breece Hall hater. I would take solid value if he's able to come back and give me 1,200 all-purpose yards. He's able to give me 1,000 rushing yards, 200 receiving yards. That's a great season for Breece Hall, and I would be super, super happy with that.
That's cool. My other question for you that I had, now you watch a lot more film than I do, and I know you're 13, but girl, you get it in. I give props is due, man. And you analyze and one of the things that a lot of the fans was talking about is that, and being upset about it, and you and Ricky kind of talked about it a little bit, like we didn't draft a D tackle, right? And so everybody's upset about that. But I kind of like, I was thinking about it, and like, who played a lot of? Was there a fatty in the middle in the Detroit defense that you can recall? I kind of remember
Onwuzurike. That was the main one. He's not a big name. His name's Levi Onwuzurike. I'm going to try to pull up his exact weight.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you. I was going to ask how big he was, because I kind of feel like LT3 is around the same size of dudes that I saw in Detroit. And I think he better coaching. He's got a lot of potential, man. He was a first round pick, and I'm really high on that dude. You know, and I think he can really help Quentin out. I think him and Quentin can do some damage together if he's definitely, coaching. Coaching is everything, and I think that's where I'm kind of going with.
Yeah. So the thing is, okay. So Onwuzurike was kind of the way I'm starting to recall it now, and I just pulled up the way for these guys. Onwuzurike was kind of their like lower end Quinnen Williams, where he was a 3 tech who provided value for you as a pass rusher. The big fatty they had was they brought in DJ Reader. And that's someone who's 335 pounds. That's the big run stuffing 1 tech. And then this year, I know we're talking about last year, but this year they drafted Tyleik Williams, who's 333 pounds from Ohio State. So I think those are the guys they relied on. I mean, look, did I want them to draft a defensive tackle? 1,000%. Would Joshua Farmer been a great pick in the 3rd round? I mean, the 5th round, for the Jets? 1,000%. The thing is, they have the weight in Derek Nandi. They don't have the consistency. Derek Nandi is someone who just signed in free agency near to the vet minimum, who has had great seasons in the league and has had seasons where he's ranked among the worst interior defensive linemen in all of football. There's a lot of inconsistency there. Overall, I think the Jets could pick up someone at cut down day to kind of fill that big 1 tech role. I know. Do you remember Foley Fatukasi?
Yeah.
They're talking about him now, bringing him back as like someone. He's declined ever since he left the Jets. I do not want him back on the. He's declined year after year. He's kind of turning into Derek Nandi. He had a bad shoulder injury last year. I think you can find someone.
He didn't even finish his contract, right? Like they cut him out before his contract was even up, right?
Correct.
So,
correct.
I'm good on that.
Yeah, I think you can get someone in after cut down day who can come in and just be like a big 1 tech run stuffer who can get you like maybe 2 sacks a year, but is going to be known for his run stuffing presence. I think that's the big thing. So they still need a 1 tech next to Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I appreciate it, man. Lastly, I would just say, no question, but I agree with you on the Cook situation, man. I think that might be a gem for real. I went back and I was looking at some of his highlights and stuff like that. Like, he's got some work to do, but I mean, who doesn't? You know what I mean? And he's a
UDFA for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you, brother. Appreciate you,
love it.
man. Great content as always, man. You know, I'm
Appreciate
checking
you,
you out in the
Devin.
background, bro. Take
Thank
care,
you.
man. Have a good night.
Devin, you're the best. Appreciate your support as always. Great call from our guy, Devin. Great supporter of the show. Appreciate him checking in, and I appreciate you all joining us here on this Monday evening. We'll hit a few more here in the chat. We have so many chat questions tonight. What I'm gonna do after the show, the ones we don't get to, I'm gonna write them down and I'll hit on them tomorrow night. We're not gonna have enough time, I don't think, to get to all of these because there's so many, which is much appreciated here. But I'll definitely write them down and I'll hit on them tomorrow. We've gotta check if we have Gunny on tomorrow or not. And then we'll probably have a guest, whether it's Gunny or someone else. I don't know if Gunny's around tomorrow. I think he said he wasn't able to do tomorrow, but I will double check that 1000%. Let's see. Arian Smith, wide receiver 3. I do not agree with that, Robert. I think Arian Smith comes in and he's going to be like a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 type guy. Other than the speed element, I don't think he adds much to this. I don't think he adds much to this Jets offense. That's the main thing for me. Like, he brings the speed element 1000%. Can't hold on to the football. Wasn't very elusive last year. That concerns me a lot with this team and how he's potentially going to. But our guy Devin, who just called in, DNY for Life, gives 5 memberships. Devin, thank you so much for all your support. As always, we got some great names who got memberships. Anthony DeReese, Matthew Smith, Indy Jets, Allen, Jets fan since birth. We're all channel members. Thanks for guy Devin. Devin, that is 5 raffle entries for you in our new May membership raffle. Devin, you're the best. Appreciate your support as always. Shout out to Devin. Guys, every $2.99 super chat or Difton membership will get you a raffle entry for our May membership raffle. Appreciate you guys. I gotta keep adding. You guys see, I started adding descriptions on these YouTube videos. I'm gonna start doing that for every show because that boosts. I don't know what it is that boosts the algorithm. I noticed we're starting to get more new and newer people into the building, which is great. So appreciate you guys as always, and you guys are the best. Appreciate all of your support as always. Again, sorry we're not able to get to all of the questions here. I'm gonna write them down, and we'll go back and we'll go answer the rest of them tomorrow. So that's what we'll do. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them. Just running out of time here. I gotta run. Gotta write some articles, gotta get some work done. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Almost an hour here on this Monday evening. Back tomorrow, same place, same time if you're new, 8 p.m. EST. Please join us. Connor Long here on NY Flight Jets Talk, your host. Appreciate you guys always. As you're exiting the building, smash the like button, hit subscribe. If you're a Knicks fan, hope you enjoy the game. The Celtics in 5. Celtics in 4, excuse me. I think the Knicks are lucky if they push to game 5, excuse me. Down by 11, have it open on my laptop here. So if you're a Knicks fan, hope you enjoy the game. Appreciate you guys as always. That'll do it for me here on this Monday evening. Shout out to Nick Faria, who joined us in his weekly spot, first 20 minutes of the show. That'll do it for me here on this Monday evening. Here on NY Flight Jets Talk, I am your host, Connor Long, signing off. Have a great night, everyone. And as always, JETS, 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 baby. Peace out.